That's fun. Right for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Good evening. Before we start the announcements, I'd ask you please silence your cell phones. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting. We ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. City code allows public comment up to 3 minutes. I'll just use my cell phone until we get a timer. And for best sound quality, please lean into the microphones to speak. With that, we will kick tonight's meeting series off with Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Under Finance Committee, under old business, FYI budget update, Pam is not here tonight. I know I'll talk with her today and Liz and herself. And I think you're involved in that also, working on budget. So we'll throw it out, hoping an update right there. Under new business, would like to entertain a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes dated January 16th, 2023. Second. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? I just realized I forgot to introduce my committee members. Myself, Honeywell, Ronnie Kurz, Schwarzkopf, and PM present. All right. Heaven itself. Sharing CDs, there's a sheet in your packet that goes through the CDs and the investments. Also your financial dashboard, just a few highlights on the financial dashboard. At this point, we're at 75% of our fiscal year. Income wise, or under the revenue side, we're actually at 94% of budgeted amount, which puts us a plus 19% year to date. One thing of note in that budget, we do have a $400,000 figure in there for economic development transfer that has not been included yet into the revenue side. So that's 16% of our total budget on the revenue side, and that's not been accounted for yet at this point. Then under expenditures, again, both trending in the right direction. Again, we're at 75% of the fiscal year. We're at 39% of our expenditures that were budgeted, which is a minus 36% year to date on the expenditures. So again, revenue is up, expenditures are down. It's a good thing. Any other questions about the financial dashboard?
Hey, Rod, and just one note on there, it does say that there's 2 customers out, if you remember from my email, that both were put back in Friday after that sheet is printed, so
Okay.
there are 0 customers out.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, moving on your new business, everyone has in their packet an ordinance update correspondence. At this time, there will be no action on those, but they will be considered here in the future, so just know that they're coming up. And if you have questions about them, correspondence between Pam and Paul, but that will be coming up on the agenda here. But for tonight, there is no discussion on any of that.
I do have just one general question. Paul, were you asked to take a look at this ordinance or?
Yeah, Pam and I have been kicking around some different changes for the last several years. And we had just sat down and said, here's some things that are on my list that we haven't done yet. And we just decided to go ahead and do it. But it's not urgent to be done. We'll just deal with them later.
Any other questions? If not,
I do, actually, real quick, how many other things do you guys kicking around, you know, that none of us know about? That, you know, are just, you know, I assume we're getting charged for this, but we don't know, I didn't know anything about this.
I didn't,
So, I mean, I don't know how long this has been discussed or whatever, but this is kind of came out of nowhere, and I know that I would like to know what else are you working on that we're not privy to.
I don't have a complete list right now, but it's not that many things.
Okay, I'd like to know what, you know, what we're doing.
I think maybe like a weekly report like the other department heads kind of give us every week. Could be a good idea.
Do you see the bills that come through in the packet? That's got a recap of what he has worked on. I think the to-do list is what you're more concerned about.
I would like to know ahead of time, not after we've already get
Maybe
it.
I can talk to Dan and the mayor and see what we can do.
Okay.
That's what's.
okay, any other questions about the ordinance? Yeah, it will be coming up in the future, just give everybody a heads up. I'm lobbying that maybe the ordinance changes go somewhere besides finance committee. I have no clue how it gets done in the finance.
That's where it goes when it doesn't put it in.
Okay.
It's just on the finance committee, it's the collector. I don't know where else it fits, we need to.
I'm surprised to approve my packet and see if give a report on ordinances that I didn't include. Anyway. No preparedness. Are there any other questions about that subject? If not, take any public comments or anything good for the city. Adjourn finance at 6:06.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll shift over to the personnel committee.
All right, well, personnel committee order at 6:06, myself, Peel, Bill, John, Weaver, and Ryan are here. Under old business, we have the OHR wage and benefit studies. So I'm gonna start out, I mean, there's a lot of city workers here today. Thank you guys for helping us out and taking time out of your schedule to let's go through this. We did learn a lot of things. We had a lot of data pushed our way, so we will be working through all of this. We're gonna talk about it tonight, but it's gonna be an ongoing thing. So I just want to go ahead and say thank you before we get started. First of all, while we're here, one of the major things that we saw was our pay for all of our city employees. Across the board, it was pretty consistent that we're in the middle or upper on all of our job categories, except for a few. I know we have the detective and the office clerk and billing clerk. The detective will be under the FOP contract. But for the office clerk and billing clerk, I'd like to think they are actually under the minimum. And I would like to see them be moved. I'm hoping for at least 12% above the minimum to get them more in line to what we have. That would put pretty much all of our city employees above the minimum threshold. These two are, the other one will be negotiated by the FOP. These are. 12%. It would be 54.16 for each of them.
I mean, 54.16, you're saying,
5,416.
okay, per year. Okay.
Per year.
Yeah, that's, I don't want to call us.
Yeah, I'm not that, yeah. For each one. And that would bring it up above the minimum. That would be 12% above the minimum standard, which right now they are under the minimum. Question?
Yeah, assuming we're still going to look at wages and stuff coming up here in the next 30 or so days anyway.
Once we get farther down into the budget cycle, yeah, we'll make some evaluations of what CPI is, what other indicators are, and then that'll be part of the budget process as we move through March and into April. And generally, that's that first pay cycle in May where those take effect then.
Yeah, because I have no issues with.
You wanna do it ASAP, or you wanna do it next budget, next cycle? When's the next fiscal year start? May?
In May.
Start May? There's no-
Right, we'll be going through everybody else at the same time. I think it's easier to do everybody at the same time, is it? And
I mean, we'll do theirs and
I mean, if these two are the standouts that we need to act on, I would be okay with that, and then just keep working towards
I think we need
a solution. And then we would have, you know, two less to, you know, those two positions would be completed, and then we. You know, this is kind of a working thing, we can't be expected to do everything all at once, but I would be okay with moving forward, it's 2 months.
yeah, I agree.
The earliest would be the first pay cycle following the first council meeting of March. So it's gonna be pushed out a little bit anyhow, even if you say immediately.
Right, so let's go ahead and start that, so I make a motion that we raise the office clerk, the utility billing clerk 12%. Starting the first full pay period at the city council meeting in March.
And second, yeah, second, I don't think.
All in favor?
No, I have a question.
Yes.
Just a minute, who's second it first? For discussion? Alan, thank you.
Yes, that's mine.
I'm looking at the information here that says Senate, and they're recommending considerably less increase than your phone.
I just threw a number out. I mean,
Well, this study, what they did said, once you get $1,260 and $1,681.
that's a very minimum, correct? What you're saying.
I don't know what that is.
That's going to the minimum.
This was their suggested salary.
Yeah, that's going to the absolute minimum. I'm trying to get them above and beyond the minimum.
That was based on years of service. If they suggested, if we go to this model, that everybody would be adjusted for years of service, and that was just simply a calculation because. Utility office clerk says 11 years of service at that time, and billing clerk was 17, so they used math based on those years of service. Jeremy, I guess, is just putting out a thought of using the same standard for both, rather than based on years of service. These are just samples in here.
What do we do with everybody else's years of service, or
That would be another topic.
Because
currently what do we do?
but that
Currently, what do we do?
we do across the board. Like the last year was 7%, we gave across the board. So this is what but I figure this will help bring those two job categories down as part of the study that showed. Bring them up and we go from there, and show that we're low. I know the detective, they can be negotiated through that FOP. That's though.
I'm not on this committee, so, but I won't be able to go tonight. My only question would be is, do we all feel comfortable that we're far enough into this to be making moves already on salaries and adjusting plans? I think, I had a lot of questions, so I met these guys the other day. I think some of the other guys have a lot of questions. I'm not saying that I'm against doing that. I'm just, I'm not comfortable that we would move forward with it.
I'm just doing these two. I mean, we can go ahead. I'm not done with the rest of them.
I'm saying any, I'm saying any of them, not just us two. I just think that we need to go further into this thing, answer everybody's questions, and it's my opinion.
So since I'm new to the city council yet, let's say that. What else do we talk about and understand more besides city council or the committee meetings? Because I'm never involved in any communication outside of this night or the first or third Tuesday or Mondays.
Well, if,
So,
I mean, if you get questions on this, you need to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was wondering if you're missing
I
something.
mean, no, I had a lot of questions on the whole plan.
Yeah.
And I sat down with those two on Friday
Oh.
and, I got a lot clearer picture.
Now, I was just reading the general, I thought there might be something else. Okay.
Well, I would like to move forward tonight with these two, because I mean, we're all, we can go through the rest of them later. I would like to go through them. I made the motions, be seconded.
I'll stand by the second still.
All in favor? Aye, opposed?
Yeah. I'm not.
Move on.
What did that?
It'll still, all it means is still go city
I
council.
still got to go to the council. What was the vote total on this? 4-1, okay, thank you.
Okay, and moving on to the village, well, our recommendations. We talked about it last week too, the job title changes. I know we came to the conclusion that we wanted to do electric lead worker, electric or gas lead worker, street lead worker. Everybody's fine with finance coordinator. Changing finance coordinator. And utility maintenance worker. Then we still have to, we'll decide on those and we'll go back to the top.
Josh, do you have some input on any of those, or does it cause heartburns and things?
I don't see any issue.
Those, what about the first two? We want to go through the public works superintendent and office administrator, or no change? We talked no change last time.
I think it was fine as presented for right now. I mean, if this is gonna be a working document and, we can discuss more.
We'll just table this all for now. It looks like that's what we want. Okay, move on. A couple other things I want to go through. They have pay bands or on there. I know a lot of our jobs are in the middle. Maybe we talk condition and straight pay raises like annually like we are doing. Like we have them. Then we'll move on to awards. One thing I would like to see, we talked about it in one of the last meetings, is I'd like to start seeing us adding recognition awards for service. For years of service for everybody. I don't know, certificates. You guys have any ideas? Things we can do? I mean, these guys are working for our city, guys and women that are working for our city, and if you guys want to give me ideas, we can come up with something, with some kind of recognition that we can do. Maybe every 5 years, 10 years, 1 years, go through the board and give me some ideas or. And,
We should do a little bit more than just certificate.
yeah, I figure something that we can do. I don't know. I'm open to anything, so we'll see. You guys just move it in.
Jeremy, I'm gonna insert myself and I'm gonna be like Bill, I'm an official on the committee. So now that we've paid our $16,000 and we have this report, are these people gonna come down and go through this with the council and answer questions and say, here's where this comes in, this is how this is showing up.
Like, like when they had the presentation, that was pretty much.
Or not online, it's,
Or you want them to have to come here?
that's what I'm asking, we paid
Talking
$16,000.
about the one that did his computer.
Right, I mean. And again, I was opposed to this from the very beginning, but since we paid him $16,000 and we get a stack of papers that it's all just a bunch of graphs and appendixes from other cities and a lot of the categories, as far as I'm concerned, don't even match what we do. But it's not really a fair comparison. I don't know, if we pay them that kind of money, I feel we ought to get them down here and set them out of notice. We have to take a special meeting
Set the meeting and answer, let them answer our questions. What if you? Again, I'm not on your committee. This-
Alright, next up, performance evals. We need to start working on performance evals for all employees of the city. I'd like to see either that or some kind of yearly goals with everybody. Things we want to accomplish, things we are gonna try to do. Any input or anything, I know, set directly with the talk here. I like to see it, you know, what our department heads. I know I talked with the mayor, we've talked about having this yearly sit downs with our department heads, going through the list of goals that we want to do every year, seeing where we can hit those goals. And just kind of keeping everybody in the loop, what's going on.
Doesn't the mayor already do that with the department heads?
I do that with the department heads.
But I like to see it with everybody, and I mean, and at least we can have it and reviewed by all the city council.
The only thing with that, Jeremy, I think you want to be careful what you call it.
But
I don't know that a performance evaluation would be the right wording, because I don't know that. That's really, in my mind, that's not where we would want to go.
okay,
I would think we want to do more of an annual review and just sit down with each employee. And that would give them an opportunity for their department head to discuss things with them. An opportunity for them to talk things to the department head, it may not happen on a daily basis. I mean, we get such a small group, they operate with each other. I mean, if there's a problem with performance, I'm sure it'll be answered for a yearly, an annual review.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to just say, you know, I think it would be a great idea for the department heads to sit down with them on an annual basis. And say, you know, hey, here's where we're at this year, here's what happened. You know, we were able to get this to this to this. And here's where we'd like to go in the future. If you got any input on that, I appreciate it. And then at the same time, sit down and say, you know, hey, here's where we're at financially with this position. You know, you made this much in salary this year, you had this many weeks vacation. You know, your insurance costs this amount of money, just so that everyone's on the same page as to what value they add to the city. And know where they're at with us. I mean, I think performance evaluations
too strong, but
a little strong.
Oh.
I mean, because like I said, in a small organization, I think everybody really knows that. But an annual review would be a good.
And this has been discussed long before this came up. This should have been done and established
Talk about
a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't anything new. No, I agree with you 100%.
Same with you, and just kind of go over pay and benefits and everything like that. Yeah. We can work something like that. And then are we gonna have department heads take care of that, or we doing?
I would think that.
That's the direction that I thought has been given. I mean, yeah.
I mean, they know there's an employee.
And then who we doing for department heads? What we wanna do? Say, I don't need, we can have Kurt, I mean, we can have the mayor do it, we can have, say, either me, the Pam, Curtis, Josh, Jeff, you, John.
Susan, you said you're currently doing.
I started last year, met every month, and we talked about goals, and this year went more to like a smart analogy where you try and make them measurable. There's an actual table that I could sit down and use with them.
I mean, I don't think even mayors.
I can still get input from the perspective of committee chairs. But we would need to provide some sort of tool to get them started too. It wouldn't be like the department heads and do their own thing. Something basic to get started.
Basically.
With that. I know we have more stuff today like life insurance, but that's all I have on the sheet of the WHR right now. We'll bring more stuff up later. Moving on. Make a motion to approve departments meetings for January 16, 2023. All in favor? Opposed? Next up after that, I know last committee meeting, we went over life insurance because part of the salary survey said that all of our benefits were either better or the same as many municipalities except for life insurance. We are providing $10,000. Pam reached out to a different company, it looks like, he's not here today to discuss more about it. On the sheet, it says that this, Karen Wickman from Standard, she will come in here. I would think that we need her to come in here and do a presentation. Maybe by next meeting, we can have all of what we pay and everything for life insurance. And have a good comparison when she come in here, which is. What they want. Because as it says in here, our proposed rates expire on May 10th, so. We can. And then public comments and would say. Hearing none, I adjourn the principal committee at 6:4.
Okay, thank you. Next, we shift over to public health and safety.
Thank you, Susan. I'll call the public health and safety to her at 6:25. Myself, Reinecker, Giebert, Neboy, and Dojan are present. We have no old business. Under new business, I'll make a motion. We approve the January 16, 23 minutes. Second. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Departmental activity report. You all have a copy of it in front of you. If anybody got any questions for John? Next is authorization to order, purchase a vehicle or corresponding equipment. Basically, this will not be this budget year. It will be next year. Is when the car is going to be budgeted for. The last time we did this, I don't know if we took official action, how we did that, I'm not quite certain. But we ordered the car in advance because you said you're looking at 6-8 months. At least it's to get a new vehicle here. So basically what we're looking for tonight is a little direction. And if everyone's okay with moving forward with ordering the vehicle. He's got 2 vehicles that he would like to look at. One is a Charger, which is what most of our cars currently are. And the other is a Durango, which is what we bought the last time. There is roughly not quite $4,000 difference in the cost of these cars.
So is this scheduled to replace one of the existing?
Correct. We replace a car every 2 years.
So
That's what we try to stay with.
what's the police department's wish? Are we trying to replace one of the squad cars or?
So Ted's car is up for replacement. My thought is we go with the Durango and we kind of protect his car and Ted will get Tyler's car. Or if we go with the Charger, we just replace Ted's current car with the new Charger.
Is the Durango replacing SUV or are we just kind of going towards that way? Just like most people,
With a detective, he has more equipment.
that's what I'm getting at. I mean, for the price, we know better.
Not only that,
All
we
SUVs.
just discuss this and if we look at cost of ownership down the road. We're gonna get a little more money from that Durango at the end of its life than we're going for. Charger. Probably get $2,000 for a Charger and $6,000 for this thing,
So the prices we have in front of us, do they reflect any kind of trade-in on them?
no,
So that's an outright price,
it's an outright lease.
and what would we do it, sell it on go?
That was. And as far as cost of equipment on them, it's real simple. The Charger was $95.98 to equip. Durango was $10,372. I don't think we can take any official action on that because we'll have to do the actual purchase in the next fiscal year. Like what John's looking for is direction from us and opinion. are we all okay with our Durango? And then approve it. You know, in the next budget year, and that would be my recommendation.
And I guess the only other cost, I didn't think it was in there, would be any kind of graphics or anything they could put on, that would be beyond all that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, if no one's opposed to it, then John will go ahead and do one. Now, these are going to be current prices that would be,
Yes, they'll still be. My preference would be to get the Durango.
my recommendation would be to go with the Durango. And, you know, if no one has any opposition to it, he'll go ahead and put one on the order and then get there, we'll take official action on purchasing.
What color? What color? Black.
I don't know, you told me last time you heard white when you come in black.
I like it so much, I think it would be never like it.
Look, I don't know what color you're talking about. What color are you talking
Black,
about?
yeah,
Can we get a white one?
I'll make sure it's, this one here says.
I think we're not officially taking.
We're not going to take any action, it's just, we're verbally giving him an okay to get it into the system. Our next item, also, we did not take any action on this, it's, he's got it budgeted for the coming year. Our current radar trailer is got the foot. Which is probably, I don't know, I'm gonna guess
15 years old.
15 years old, so it's probably served its life well. Is this similar, John? I'll let you explain.
This is very similar. I priced two out. I want to present this one. Because the other one is so much more expensive. The other one actually, you can put an LPR and connect it to it. Like I said, you gotta buy the LPR and it was a lot more expensive than this. So I presented this one. It's very, very similar to the one we had.
So again, it's just kind of give you all a heads up that this is coming down the pipe. I don't know what kind of lead time you're looking to burn with these.
They did not.
But you're okay with waiting till
Yeah,
fiscal year to order,
yeah.
so it'll come up again in the future. Public comments, anything for the good of the city?
I did have one while we're talking about expenditures back. Probably 3 months or so ago, we approved for the system of having cameras installed as you come into town.
The LPRs.
Yes.
Okay, I'm waiting for the budget.
What's that?
I'm waiting for the budget
So you're putting it in this coming year's budget?
in May. Yes. So it's approved, I'm just waiting for the budget to have the money to spend.
Okay, very good. Just checking for an update.
Anything else? Hearing none, I adjourn public health and safety at 6:31.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the cultural committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll call cultural committee to order at 6:31. Myself, Damon, Reiniger, Hebert, and Dojan all present. There is no old business. New business, I'd like to get a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes, January 16th, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. I'd like to make a motion to approve the beautification committee request to collect on Thursday, July 27th for Santa Village.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. Request from Buena Vista Bank to hold an Easter egg hunt at Rats Park on April 1st, 2023 at 1 p.m. All approved? All in favor, say aye. Approved. And one last one. Request from St. Peter UCC to close Randolph Street for the fish fry on March 10th and 31st of 2023. They didn't say what time or after.
And it's been done in years past, they typically work it out with race line, they do it in the afternoon, so.
Okay.
And we provided barricades in the past.
Okay, so everything's, we'll share them. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we accept, the St. Peter UCC to close Randolph Street on the 10th and the 31st of March. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any public comments or anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I'll adjourn the cultural committee at 6:33.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Public Works.
Public Works at 6:33 with myself, Dojan, Honbus, Warcraft, Veronica are present. Under old business, power plant report.
Good business as usual, we had our normal generating runs, we did have a test run from IMEA in regards to the new startup shutdown malfunction potential rule that the IEPA is putting out. Got word earlier or late last week that they tested units 1 and 4 and they met the requirements that potential rule would affect. So we would be good in that aspect. So that was some good news there.
Okay. Utilities and streets.
Really all I got is into the water aerator. Working with Volker and Hair Plumbing and received notice that we're looking at about a May delivery date for the aerator. And then we'll work on some stuff in the plant to make sure everything can be bypassed and ran accordingly.
Next item is concrete program request from V8 Speed and Retro. Looks like they got some numbers updated for us, which would with their sidewalk and their curb and gutters, it brings a total up to 5,400. And the additional request for the apron, what is that, Josh?
That would be the area that would be, technically it's curbing and sidewalks, what's the concrete program. She had asked that I also present the area basically between the curb and the sidewalk. And that would be what that additional the 2,900 for that area as well. So then basically if that would be what you guys want to do, then would cover everything from the curb through the sidewalk. That's
So total would be 7,300.
That's correct.
And so how much funds do we have in our?
We would have that on the concrete or the
83. I'm sorry, 83. So we have this covered under.
it would cover other than land.
Questions, comments? Yes, I mean, the motion that it's our, I make a motion that we accept this request for 8,300 underneath our concrete for the sidewalk repairs. All in favor? Aye. Which carries. New business, I make a motion that we accept our month's meeting minutes. And all in favor? Aye. Next item is Steve Potter's retirement notice. That's March 31st, I believe.
Yes, just need approval, I guess, from the council to accept the resignation effective March 31st for Keith Bauer. I know he's been doing a lot here for the past couple of years and working that odd shift and kind of working by yourself. So I want to thank him for all of his years of service and you guys see him ask him to do the same.
I guess you're working on some type of presentation for him.
Yeah, and I've already passed, I got the information over to Pam about the coin retirement or whatever that would be for that. I mentioned I'll follow up on that again, but we would do a normal presentation, kind of like when Kenny retired, they would do a presentation and a lunch for him on that day.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation for retirement for Keith as of March 31st. All in favor? Next item is approval of Daniel Custer's final step increase to 2863, which will start April 5th, 2023. We'll bring him up to the full power plant operator's pay.
Yeah, that's just the last step that once on full assumption of the duties, it's the last step in what was previously approved. So, and that would be obviously after then is the retirement.
I make a motion that we approve Daniel Custer's increase. All there. Next thing is a training request for Clint Crafton at the GUA Spring Training Seminar. Looks like a cost of $100. Is there lodging?
Just travel.
Just travel. Okay. So I make a motion we approve the training request for Clint Crafton.
Second.
All in favor? Passes. Next item is a Commonwealth contract for employee assistant program for gas department.
Yes, this was in the packet. Paul had sent some changes and I did receive an email back today with acceptance of the proposed changes. So I would just be looking, this is for the employee assistance program as per required from our ICC audit on our drug and alcohol plan. I would just be looking for approval of the amended contract.
I make a motion that we approve the amended contract for the employee assistance program. All in favor? Next item is to a support person position, to hire candidate.
Yes, since we do have a special city council meeting following us to formally approve of this, we did interview 6 candidates and kind of went through and kind of got it down. The mayor and I interviewed and kind of sat down, took notes and discussed, and I've talked to a couple of the aldermen as well, and some other people on different candidates as well. So, but I got a recommendation to fill that vacant support person position with Scott Becker. And I would like to recommend that we would start that at $25.13 per hour. That is the middle of the pay scale. As of no one would be able to come into the full pay scale since they are not fully qualified to locate for gas. So they would not be eligible for that until they meet those qualifications. And that the full pay scale is $27.74. And obviously this will be pending physical and drug tests. Physical will be taken care of at the hospital. The pre-employment drug testing will be completed through CCM, as that who's handles our drug testing for our drug and alcohol.
Comments, questions? I make a motion to hire Scott Becker as the support person position at rate and
$25.13 pending physical and drug test.
all in favor? Passes. Next is to recommendation to end Logan Soccer 6-month probationary period effective 2/24/23.
Yes, just the normal city council approval for the employee policy to end the probationary period, so just would seek that approval.
I make a recommendation, we can go ahead and end Logan Soccer 6-month probationary period. All in favor? Which passes. Next item is cemetery agreement addendum.
Yes, currently the agreement we have that they kind of realized that we were under a net 10 payment terms for our bills. So every time we do our bills, by the time we got through council, it was considered late. So this is just an amendment to the current sales agreement that we have to actually change it to a net 45 payment terms. And then I know Liz is also working on an ACH payment as we do with our electric bill as well. So, but just need a approval of the amended amendment to the gas sales agreement, which changes the payment terms.
So I make a motion, we accept this amendment to the gas sales agreement. All in favor? Any other public comments? Then I'll let him.
And Josh, I was hearing rumblings, I guess, of water meter issues. Is there?
No, there was obviously we had read or estimated water meters 2 months in a row. So now we read this month, which is our typical off month. We will read again next month to get everything back on schedule. So that's kind of what, some people may have seen credits, some may have seen, so just depending on the usage. But that's what's going on.
So I think I just saw, some people were getting estimates of whole years worth of water. So
Well, like I said, some of it could be, so, well, like I said, we've also come back and taken a look at rereads and stuff like that. So that is kicked out. So by the time some of the bills go out, we do rereads and that gets adjusted out of the bills.
so anything will be adjusted if it's wrong.
Yeah. Thanks.
I got, Josh, I got a question on the same thing, you came up with one of my brothers. So the way I understand this, you take their normal usage and on the months that you don't read meters, you only put 50% of that in, is that
And
correct?
that estimates in half, correct. But then, so if somebody, when we get in this weird time frame where somebody may use, or if they have, some cases, I think some people may have had a leak, well, then estimate, but at kind of some of the odd ones, but typically it would estimate half, but then whatever you get that second month, it kind of estimates. So that's why we read back to back again to get it back in.
It's a complaint that I heard and haven't listened to all day, but was, again, since it went in half, and then she ended up with a bill that was almost 3 times what a normal bill would be to catch it back up.
Yeah, and that's just, well, meters, but That's also what we're looking at is some of that stuff. We have the capabilities, but we're trying to get to where we can get to the touch reader or something else. But meter stock right now has been a nightmare, so.
What extra would it cost the city to have a full-time reader to read it every month? I mean, do you have a cost for that? Because it seems like we're getting a lot of egg on our face. And if it only costs an extra $10,000 or something.
Well, I thought about trying to have somebody who could just read, but the problem with how we do it is you almost have to start changing cycles on when bills will go out, you know, if you have a full-time person, because otherwise they're trying to read. 10,000 meters in a 10-day period, well, and then with the weather, so, if you could somehow change it, but I can get something to put together.
But I think what you're saying though is just when it comes to read the meters every month rather than every other month.
Yeah,
I know at one time when we made the decision to read them every other month, it was done as a cost saving measure. Louis at that time, if I remember, I had some numbers on it.
I have to go
Sure,
back
you
and
can
try and
put
see if I
numbers
can
together.
kind of find them, I think they maybe.
You know approximately what the hours it takes.
I can figure it out. I mean,
Yeah, so you could put a number.
based on who's doing, I can try and figure something out.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Or the city. I get interested for a job. And the application back up. I was told I was starting at 22 numbers an hour. I was wondering why I used 25.
Josh, can you speak to
Well,
that?
it wouldn't have been in Hunter, if I said that, I apologize, but I mean, it would have just been based on training, so in your case. It probably would have been 25 too. I don't, it's just. Based on experience, so the range is from 22 to the 27. No one can come in at the 27 other than when we did before, because they had the previous training up front before they moved into those positions. So if there was miscommunication there, that's on me and I apologize. Any other? Oh,
Deputy Chester, I've been with the service for 32 years. And I understand we're trying to do a lot of an opportunity that I have on hard work and labor to go at a time. And I feel accomplished to consider that. There was a theater that should have that starting at 25 months and every hour, because I'm telling you what, he did everything that's to do with it.
thank you. Second.
Never had this happen.
No, I guess we haven't. I mean, I guess what we'll have to do is, it's already been approved for this now. Still, it's going to say it's not officially approved. Okay, it just went to committee meetings. So basically, we'll readdress this. I understand, but I'm saying, but then it will be addressed at the next. Then it's already been approved for this. I'm asking legally what I can and can't do here. That's what I'm trying to get clarification for. So I wasn't there for the interview, so I can't answer any of these questions, but when I on did not happen over here.
You don't have to act on it on tonight's special city council meeting. You can wait until the next
Okay,
city council meeting and then. I haven't hired anyone yet.
Right.
Everyone's entitled to the job.
Okay.
And reconsider.
okay. All right, we'll address this at the city council. Okay. Any other comments? If not, I move that we close the committee meetings at 6:47.
Okay, thank you. Next up is zoning committee.
Call the zoning committee meeting at 6:47. South Hebert, Schwarzkopf, over here. First thing is the comprehensive plan, that said we are looking for authorization to advertise for a request for qualifications to select a consultant for that. Jeff, do you want to elaborate on that one?
Sure, that's the first step of the comprehensive schedule, I guess you would say. We select a consultant since it is a professional base. Once we, last week, in 2010, what we did was we got 6, we shortlisted it with 3, we held interviews and we selected. And once that happens, then you go into the contract stage. It's not supposed to be a salary or a cost based analysis or something of it. So the first one is to identify who we would like to do this for us, and you do that with a request for qualification.
Okay, so we're just looking for a motion right now to advertise that list for the
Or the project.
okay. I'd like to make a motion that we do that we go ahead and advertise for the RFQs.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Oh, sorry.
We were sent some information a while back on the possibility of an opportunity for grant to pay for part of this. Are we working on that, or is that?
Cam's been going to the meetings and working. on that. I
Putting the cart before the horse here is the question.
I don't really.
I actually saw the individual that Pam is working with. And he would not commit to any certain time. Apparently they put a grant or so per month in, but there was no exact time frame. That was a question I had going into. Do we, if we get into the process, are we okay to still apply for a grant? And Pam, I had asked that question, but she's not here tonight to answer that, so.
The request for qualifications, we're not bound to any type of a dollar figure, we would spend anything, but you're right, this something that's gonna take a couple months.
Yeah, and I think it'd be a good idea to get
I don't disagree with that.
it clarified before we make a move on.
Okay, I just. Well, this next month.
Okay, no, rescind my motion. Yeah, let's do the next motion. All right, the East Industrial Park project. Really one of the only things we were talking about was there are 4 streets that are gonna need to be named out there, so people can start thinking of street names. Anything else with the East Industrial Park right now? But
I'd like to run that by the county development committee too.
yeah, absolutely.
We have 6-8 months, so this is just, you know, something that we kind of noticed and thought we ought to start thinking. Don't worry.
Nothing new on the Dollar General, nothing. Okay, on new business, I'd like to make a motion to approve our month's meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Carried, City Hall repair schedule, all of you should have had a list of the City Hall improvement schedule. This is the assessment that we did with Water Design, for the different projects to improve City Hall. Get it safe and keep it up for many years to come. It looks like it is through 3 years worth of budgets, I believe, is what we're looking for. It's kind of got it laid out at the bottom, what each category is and what fiscal year it's going to fall into. I don't know if anybody has any questions, or Jeff, if you have any comments on this.
Just to expound on it a little bit, the $20,000 better downspout project. I know there's money in there for the 22-23 grant cycle budget process, then that budget. The 23-24 for 110. That was to get the building watertight and then take care of the rotting wood on the outside of the building. The 27,000 is the mix of items that I think we can do around here, plus some carpentry. And the 82,000, that might even be able to be kicked further down. The we have face brick on the north, south, and west side of our building. We have a softer brick on the east. That's why in the softer brick absorbs moisture, leads to mold. I guess it was a cost savings back in the day, but so that east side would be included in the work for this coming fiscal year. And then the face brick, the estimate was 1 to 5 years, so we can just kind of take a look at that and make a decision then. But just to keep things rolling.
Yeah, do we not have a line item in the budget?
We've got some capital funds set aside. I don't know how much we've got in the exact operating budget to spend those capital dollars, but I mean, I know there's enough to do this better than that.
I did check with Liz, there's 70,000 available in the budget right now. That I guess haven't put in there for building maintenance, and there's another 40,000 in the capital plan. So that would get us going, but this is quite a bit more.
Just looking through some of the categories here, and actually I talked to Mike Schneider up at Quadrant. Just be aware, if you're going to budget these, you're probably gonna add 30% to each one of these. Because I tell you right now, estimated to replace all the exterior windows at $30,000, I don't touch it. You will not even come close to that.
These are all right out of our report.
Right, I understand that, I'm just saying.
Later case of changing that.
You know, and you can normally tell when you have a report like this and it's just blank tens of thousands of dollars. Well, a lot of effort put into that, but that one alone, I know you're gonna spend way more than that, and there's a lot of those that you're gonna spend more than the budget number, and again, that's just a guesstimate, it's all that really is. And then that category 6, long-term optional projects could be very expensive also, because that's not included in any cost at this point.
So is there a yearly maintenance schedule, so we don't run into $219,000 in 5 more years? I mean, is there something that for all the city buildings that we own, so we don't do this anymore?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can we start one? And what would we think?
Yeah, that,
I think we need to.
would we redo this in 06? Nothing like that.
It's not on 5, because this was being done same time firehouse edition.
Okay.
Well, the other thing, Ben, and I agree with you 100%, it needs to be done, just so that you don't get to the end of the year and say, next year we need to spend $500,000 on this building. And then the other thing is, make sure we look really hard at the products we use, because when these windows were put in, they did all decorative wood moldings. Anybody knows anything about wood in our area with the humidity and stuff, it's not gonna last. I don't care if you painted it every year, it's not going to last, and that's what is showing now. All that wood is rotten and deteriorated away, and then all your subsills are the same shape because it's rotten from the outside in. So again, a lot of that would be product selection, but there are some major expenses. Back up to date, that's for sure.
I think we should at least look into something. So yearly that somebody comes out and look, I mean, someone does.
So I guess my other question would be, if council decides, hey, we're gonna do the East Clock Tower. I'm assuming you would put that out as a bid package.
Well, I would. I don't know, I would probably go for a general and not full time.
Do everything, so, but you'd still be required to have a bid
Oh,
package.
actually, yeah.
So are we going to write that bid package, or we're gonna have Mike Schneider?
I would put something together.
Yeah, because especially on a lot of, you know, because there's gonna be a lot of different finish items, windows, it's just, and again, I'm picking back up on that, but. You know, just to say, hey, we're gonna replace it with a vinyl window, well, that could range from $1,000 a window to $10,000.
Absolutely.
So in that bid package, there's gonna have to be some specifications listed on what's going to be acceptable and what not. And then it comes down to review, of course, if you're aware of that, once those specs are laid out, somebody bids window X, somebody's gonna have to respond for looking window X and make sure that it's meeting the specifications of the product.
But it'll cost some more time and some more money for Mike to do that, absolutely. An engineer, I'm not an architect.
I would agree with them wholeheartedly. I've said it for years, that the clock tower is leaning and nobody would ever believe me, but if one of these days we hate to have a thing coming through the ceiling while we're sitting here. Yeah.
Take one for the team then.
And you know, there are the repairs that we have to do, so I don't know that we, I mean. Do we have a set number that we need to put in for the budget? That's something that we're just going to. Look into when we get into the fiscal year.
Jeff and I worked out a little, I had to have my columns in the spreadsheet here, but initially we had identified $90,000 that we need to budget next year, but now based on. Information Rodney's supplying, we probably have to do 90 plus another 30 and put that in the budget to prepare for next year's possible expenses. At least that's the way I would approach that at this moment in time.
Yeah, again, and especially on a remodeling budget, you're always gonna go more than what the estimate is. It just happens. Especially in a lower building like this, because you're gonna get into things that are unforeseen. That you won't even think about until you open up a wall or take out a window, so.
Rise. And then as we move into budgets, one part of the budget should be reviewing the capital plan, so we can also start planning for these expenses coming at us too.
And I guess just because we budgeted for it and we have the schedule doesn't necessarily mean we have to follow exactly along.
Exactly.
with it, right?
Exactly, we just don't wanna overspend what we budgeted.
The most critical thing is this very first part to get the building water tight again. There's no more damage, we get that black out.
Was that 1, 2, and 3?
1 and 2 of the clock tower and then the gutters, which I've already got the schedule here since we get.
It's the tuck pointing of the east wall. And it's our front porch coming in here off of the east market. If you look at it, where the sandstone is, then where the wood porch comes down, there's a gap there about that big, and there's water pouring down into there. That's something else we wanna address.
Or we're just adding this in whenever we're going over the budget. You need action on that tonight.
No, but that, I'm glad we're having this discussion, like, I wanted to. See where you work, if this is like a budget, and then we can decide if we want to do it, we get pricing from in then. No, well, we don't have to do it.
Okay. All right, the last thing that I had was the zoning land use table. Does anybody have any comments or questions on some of the changes that were made recently?
I just want to make sure that all the businesses that were in any of the affected zones, that they've been asked. Have we reached out to them and let them know that we're either removing them or adding to them? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, these are just the land use table. I can do that.
Never mind.
I can answer that question. The enterprise zone, no, none of them have been asked. There is no reason why anybody would not want to be in it. It is a 100% benefit. We did add, Rodney had mentioned that Southside Gym possibly could have something in there, so we added that. And at the last minute, I had a meeting with Mike Schneider or Schaefer down there at Southern Hill. That's what we added in, which is on tonight's council meeting.
Yeah, I've been, any of the other places that we were removing, businesses that have asked if they were, like Mike Schaefer, you know, we were removing that or it wasn't on there.
Hey, Mike was never in it, right? Right, and the ones that got removed in, and I'm speaking for Jeff, but he and I talked about this. If you look at that original map that came out, everything got removed, which is red. That's not actually in our city limits, it's all county properties. So everything was outside of the city limits, so really it didn't affect anybody that we already had in there. We didn't remove anyone that wasn't already in the town, outside the city.
I thought that the South Route 3 was the area that was inside the city limits yet, but okay. Well,
The stuff that's in yellow, that's what we removed within corporate limits. It was 2 cemeteries. And I honestly don't remember what the other. The rezone farm project.
And then Ben, just because we've updated this, it'll have to go through multiple channels now to get approved. So the map as we have it stands until we get notification, which could be months.
Yeah.
That our new one has been approved.
all right.
Anything, public comments or anything for good city? Hearing none, I will adjourn the planning commission meeting at 7:02.
Okay, and last committee meeting up tonight is the recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Honda, Neboy, Peel, and Monroe present, call to order at 7:02. On our old business, Rice Park renovation project. Jeff, have we heard anything?
No, they are still working on a site plan. I know the mayor was in contact with them and they're blurb on Facebook. There's a blurb on Facebook if their latest update. Basically, they're still working on the site plan.
Okay. Swimming pool, swim team use of facility. I don't know.
Pam on her Friday update attached a document that showed a schedule of how they're proposing to have lifeguards on duty. So Ben, to your question from a couple of months ago, you asked about spending in that, that is how they will staff for this upcoming season.
I think there was still some other information she was gonna provide yet. I'll have to look.
Not just follow up with Pam, we
Yeah.
should reach out to Chris.
Yep.
But as far as any action taken tonight, there's no action,
There's no action.
no action, okay. The next item is Musket Facilities. I brought this up a few weeks ago. The first one will be additional lighting. There's a chance that they will get more lighting donated. We would just need to work up some sort of cost of what it would take for our city employees to do that. It hasn't came up yet, so there's no action to be taken on that. The building repairs, flooring and windows. They're flooring upstairs and they have a broken window that needs to be replaced. I know Ryan Cadella took pictures and sent them to Josh and they're working on getting some quotes. There's nothing in here as of yet. I don't know if Josh has any info on it, but
I think Ryan was working on quotes, but I don't.
yeah, so no action taken yet, but I know talking to Pam, it sounds like those are items that the city would be responsible for because it's the building itself. I don't know what the cost will be. It shouldn't be anything crazy, but that is something that we're looking at. And then the other one is in the packet. It's the concrete work they would like to complete out there. Do you want to speak to it or would you want me to? Got Nathan McCarthy, kind of give you guys an idea of what they would like to do.
Good evening, Nathan McCarthy, been the athletic director with Musket for the last few years. The area you're speaking of is a open grassy area that's behind the east bleachers, the side of the concession stand. As of right now, it's an open area that we use much. Unfortunately, this year we had a incident that kind of gave us some direction to start paying attention on other areas we can improve. We had a lady, I'm not a doctor, but I believe she passed away of a heart attack. So we did call one ambulance did come. We learned that was actually chaos and very difficult to get a ambulance to that area. It's been occurred right in front of the concession stand. It's the field, it's one of the higher traffic area. So looking at the area that's grassy as of now, we would like to concrete that area, put the bleachers back, which will give us quite a bigger area to get that ambulance back there. As of right now, we're looking at ambulance. It was going to be back there plus our field entrance. But we also keep the camera on it. It was a money game or snow or whatever, the ambulance was in front of the field. So looking at this and it's in that curve, we'd like to concrete this just to make it safer to get ambulance there. The hopes is eventually maybe having ambulance on site every day.
So with regards to this project, you guys will be donating.
Right, we have enough guys that are involved in this, it's do the labor.
Yeah, okay, because it was my impression you guys would pay for the rock, literally everything minus the concrete would be what we would cover, not to exceed $7,500 in the proposal.
Nathan, a question, and I probably know the answer to this. The Saturday charge for concrete is always more than normal, and I'm assuming you're doing absolutely would have help on the Saturdays, don't they?
I think that's probably our best bet, yes.
Because you're not gonna dump all that on Saturday.
Right.
Okay, I thought as much, yes, about $17 a yard extra for Saturday service, but okay, that's what we do.
The only thing we had looking at the picture, we could have, there's a memorial plaza, that's currently a 4x4 area. We can put that on concrete, the drainage issue, I think there was a drain that we looked at possibly having to add in there. I believe we were governing that ourselves. The drain and talked about us expanding the memorial plaza, another foot or two to get able to add on later. Other than that, it's a minor number and that will change the much. So.
Does anybody have any questions for Nathan with regards to this project?
Is there any concern with runoff? And having this whole big area now concrete, so it's.
Where the parking lot goes now, you kind of see it actually come from the parking lot area across that skate park. And it floods that area now. So I think that's what the drainage issue was.
And then from the existing bleachers, because I helped with that originally, that actually slopes towards the field, but then we have a trench drain. But that would be the high point of the concrete on the backside of the bleachers now. And there would be plenty of natural fall to get it back towards the walking trail and then back in the empty field behind. So I don't think that would be an issue at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to make the motion to purchase the concrete, not to exceed $7,500 to do the, concrete project at Lincoln Park. Any further discussion?
Point of clarification.
Go ahead.
Is this, so this is coming out of the parks? Is that where this money's coming from?
Yes, yes.
It's already in the budget.
We have sufficient funds to be able to pay for that this year.
You're talking this year's budget yet?
I would like to, yeah. And then I would remove it from next year's. Right now, we have it in there, but we have sufficient funds to get it started and done, and we would just take it out of that next year's budget.
What are those funds, are they in line item or something, or just general?
I guess it'd be in our,
My question is it something we can just move without having to?
I think Liz could probably flip a line or two. If the overall budget for Lincoln is fine, and the overall parks budget is still, well, we wouldn't have to mention anything worse. They've been very, very fiscally sound this year. So they've got some wiggle room.
motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, make the motion to approve prior month's meeting of January 16th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There's a Parks and Rec Committee meeting minutes in your packet from the last one. One thing that will be, we are looking at budgeting is windscreens for the pickleball courts was discussed and covered under the last Parks meeting. So that will be something we're going to try to budget for next fiscal year. Oh, and also the snack stand out at the pool. Jim Berkey and Tim Peggy and myself went out there and looked at it, and the Parks Committee is just going to donate their time, and we're just going to make repairs and fix up what's there. It's pretty sound. We're going to clean it up, and it'll be good. We shouldn't have to spend much money to get that up and running. The next item, purchase benches for Rats Park at soccer field. That's something that Pam was working on. I didn't get any attachments or anything with regards to that, so I table that, I suppose. And then the next item is the authorization to purchase playground mulch. This is something that we've been doing, I believe, every other year, and we're due to do that. The costs have gone up since last time, but it's something that we need to do to maintain our parks. So I would have to make the motion to accept the proposal from Davey not to exceed $1,700.
But I got a question.
Yeah,
Could we explore other options that we could do? That's,
for mulch. Well, it's gone up significantly, but the thing is, I don't know what else we could do because it's a certain 88 grade mulch. So it's made for, you can run wheelchairs on it. It doesn't have any, what would it say? It's not chipped branches all, like we use throughout the rest of the park. This is specific for that. I'm not opposed to it, but that's, you understand the standard of what we need to have for our playgrounds.
by the wayside, was that the permanent mulching, the rubber mulching?
I don't think they'll allow them to go. Because again, the compaction's not quite there. And again, for a wheelchair accessibility or somebody that's with a walker, you can't get across.
It's
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of money involved.
I completely agree.
Tyler, and I had a question too. This is identified as rats. Can some of this be either delivered or transported to Lincoln because they could use some?
Yes, and in fact, I in fact covered that with Josh, I believe also. Yeah, this will be a share between the two parks. Because the playground at Lincoln is in need of it. I had a motion and a second, I believe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, public comments, anything for the order? Hearing none, I will adjourn at 7:15.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our committee meetings. We need to take a short break, switch some things to move into the special council meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, if everybody's ready, we will start the next meeting. So I will call the special city council meeting to order at 7:16 p.m. That will have open.
Alderperson Schwartz.
Here.
Alderperson Gabriel.
Here.
Alderperson Reinker.
Here.
Alderperson Hannibal.
Here.
Alderperson Devon.
Here.
Alderperson Decoy.
Here.
Alderperson Doja.
Here.
Alderperson Keel.
Here.
Okay, first item of business is the authorization to hire a support person for the utility department.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this at this time and not take any action. Second.
If you need a motion, we just do not get all of that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just determine that there is no action on that item for tonight's meeting. Okay, next up, we need approval for the employee assistance program. That was the Commonwealth contract that we talked about previously. I'll call for a motion on that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the employee assistance program. Any further discussion? Roll call voting is starts with Schwartzkopf.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey.
Hey. Hey.
Okay, motion carries. Next item up, I will call for a motion to for the changes on the most recent enterprise zone map.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the enterprise zone map? Hearing none, Hebert will start with the roll call.
Hey. Hey.
Hey,
A.
Hey,
Hey,
Okay, motion carries. Next item, we'll call for motion on the cemetery amendment to the gas sales agreement for the terms.
Make a motion with, accept this agreement.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the cemetery agreement. Any further discussion? Roll call voting starts with Reinecker.
hey,
hey,
Motion carries. Public and guest comment section of the meeting. Done. I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
That's happening.
All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. We will adjourn the meeting at 7:18 PM.